Good morning, everyone. My name is Gokul, and today we are reviewing the film 2016, a biological drama Lion, directed by Garth Brevis. This film is based upon the real life story of Saru Besley and adapted from his memoir A Long Way Home. The lead actors played by Dev Patil as adult Saru and Sunny Power as a young Saru and Nicole Kidman as his adoptive mother. This film belongs to the drama genre, but it stands out as apart because it's a true story of loss, survival, identity, and reunion. It received the critical acclaim worldwide and it was nominated for the multiple Academy Awards, especially for acting and screenplay. I personally liked the Dev Patel acting and also Sunny Power's acting in the young sorrow roles. I also like the Nicole Kidman acting, where uh, those three roles are the most important aspects of the film. And the title itself is very symbolic. Lion came from the mispronunciation of the Saru's birth name, Sheru, which means lion in Hindi. A small detail in the film reflects how the identity slowly shifts when someone is separated from their roots. Imagine if you are separated from your parents, how you feel like. That scenes, intimidated scenes, were also in the movie, which I connected personally. Like when you are going out of your home, your mothers and you always remember, right? And you call and we call him and we talk to them. What happens if you're separated and you're another country? You feel like alone, you feel like very sad, right? And that was shown in the film. What makes this movie is very powerful is its emotional realism. The emotions, the true emotions are very real. It's not exaggerated, and it does not rely on the dramatic exaggeration. Instead of, it builds the impact slowly through the human emotions. The story spans between two countries, India and Australia, shows one accidental movement can change the entire course of the person's life. And this one I liked personally was the use of technology, the role of technology. In the second half of the film, modern tools like Google Earth become the central narrative and adds a contemporary layer to the story, showing that technology is not only just a convenience, it's also playing a crucial role in connecting their families. Where I like this Google Earth in the film, they used the technology in the film. I uh, get very what you call feel for the emotion. And also overall lion sets an serious and emotional tone from the beginning and prepare the audience for the deeply a personal journey. We are not seeing the lion movie, we are seeing the Sannu Basis story, his personal journey. And also, in the next part of the film, we will review and analyze the childhood survival journey and the psychological conflict of the identity, and the performances and the technical aspects, and finally, the deeper messages of the film. With that introduction, let's move to the story itself and understand how the human emotions journey begins. In the first starting of the movie, you feel like from the starting point of the movie, you will connect. We will connect with the characters and what the characters are actually doing. We will stick to the concept. It does not deviate from its original story and itself. It exact to the point. And in the 2016, I was like uh, what 13 or 14 years old, where my I like, because my father take to this movie, and they and I watched in the theater. But at the first time in 13 and 14, I didn't understand it. So after many years, I watched it. Then I feel like this movie is amazing, very very good, extraordinary. I'll recommend this movie to watch. And thank you for this, and we'll continue with the uh, childhood survival journey. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Harini, and today I'll walk you through the childhood and survival journey emphasized in this film. The first half of the film focuses on Saro's childhood in rural India, and this section is arguably the emotional backbone of the entire story. Saro grows up in a small village in Madhya Pradesh. His family is poor, but they share a strong emotional bond. His mother works as a laborer, carrying heavy stones to provide for her children. Despite financial hardship, the family dynamic is warm and loving. The film shows that poverty does not mean absence of love. Saru admires his older brother Guddu and looks up to him. Their relationship is affectionate and playful, reflecting the innocence of childhood. One night, Saru insists on accompanying Guddu to work. Guddu collects coal from trains to earn money. Saru, being only 5 years old, becomes exhausted and falls asleep on a bench at a railway station. Guddu tells him to wait, but when Saru wakes up, he cannot find his brother. Confused and frightened, he boards what he believes is the correct train. Instead, he unknowingly enters an empty carriage. The doors lock and the train begins moving. This moment is quiet but devastating. There was no dramatic background music, just the sound of the train moving through darkness. It symbolizes the irreversible shift in his life. The train travels thousands of kilometers to Kolkata. When Saru wakes up, he is in a massive, unfamiliar city. The contrast between his small village and crowded Kolkata is visually striking. The city is loud, chaotic, and overwhelming. Here, the film slows down and immerses us in Saro's experiences. He cannot speak Bengali. He only knows the name of his village, which he mispronounces as Ganastale. Because of his young age, he cannot provide clear information about his home either. This language barrier becomes a powerful representation of isolation. The scenes of survival are extremely realistic. Saro wanders through railway platforms filled with strangers. He searches for food in garbage bins, drinks water from public taps, sleeps in unsafe areas. Then at one point he narrowly escapes a situation with a man who appears to be kind but have harmful intentions. These scenes subtly addresses the vulnerability of lost children without sensationalizing the danger. The camera often stays close to his face, capturing confusion and fear. Sunny Pawar's performance here is remarkable. His eyes are wide and silent tears which communicate more than dialogue ever could. Eventually, Saru is taken to a police station and then transferred to an orphanage. The orphanage is portrayed realistically, not cruel, but institutional and emotionally distant. Children wait to be adopted, uncertain about their futures, but Starro still believes that his family will find him. Soon after, Starro is adopted to an Australian couple, John and Suey Briley. The transition from India to Australia is visually and emotionally significant. We see him on a plane for the first time. He's leaving everything behind without fully understanding it. In Tasmania, he enters a completely different world. Clean streets, quiet homes, structured environments. The adoptive parents are kind and patient. They try to make him feel safe. However, cultural differences are evident. Saro struggles with new food, language, lifestyle, and internal confusion too. This childhood section of the film does more than narrate events, it builds empathy. It highlights the reality of child displacement, something that happens to thousands of children globally. By the time the first half ends, viewers are emotionally invested. We have seen Saro's innocence, his resilience, and his silent suffering, the foundation that makes the later search for his family even more meaningful. In summary, the childhood journey in Lion is not just a backstory. It is the emotional core of the film. It reminds us how fragile childhood can be and how a single moment can permanently alter a life.
Hi everyone. I'll be talking about the adoption identity and psychological conflict. So, after adoption, the film shifts to Tasmania, Australia. Saru grows up in a caring and financially stable family. His adoptive parents provide him with love and support. However, as he grows older, suppressed memories begin to resurface. Small details, railway tracks, water towers, food smells trigger emotional flashbacks. He begins to feel incomplete. This is where the film explores identity conflict. Saru feels grateful towards his adoptive parents but also feels guilty about leaving his biological mother behind. He questions who he truly is. The psychological depth is shown subtly. He becomes obsessed with finding his birthplace using Google Earth. He studies railway lines and satellite images for years. This shows patience, determination, and emotional need. The film realistically portrays how identity is not just about present circumstances but also about past connections. This internal struggle becomes the core of the second half of the film.
Today I am going to talk about the performances and character depth in the movie Live 2016. So, this film works mainly because of how real the characters feel. The emotions never seem forced. Everything feels lived in and honest. So, I will now start with the most important character, Saro, and this character is being played by two different actors in order to show two different stages of life. So the first one being the young Saro and the next second one is adult Saro. So the first young Saro is played by Sunny Power. So the main thing we can say about Sunny Power's acting as Saro is that how natural he feels on screen. Mostly the actors won't feel natural because they are not refined, polished actors. But in this case, we can say that he doesn't act like a child actor itself. He he acts like a polished actor. He behaves like a real child who is confused and scared. Especially, we can see there is a railway station scene where he realizes he is alone. The fear builds slowly in his face. He doesn't scream dramatically. He doesn't overreact. Instead, we can see it in his eyes. He looks around, search for something familiar, and he doesn't find it. You can feel the panic setting. The other thing I noticed is how much he uses body language. He curls up or shrinks into himself. It visually shows vulnerability. There are moments when he doesn't speak at all, but you still understand exactly what he is feeling. That kind of performance is very difficult, especially for a child. Because of his authenticity, the first half of the movie becomes very emotional. We are not just watching a story, we feel protective of him. He is able to create that emotional connection between the audience and the character. The emotional connection is created entirely through his performance. Now, moving on to Adil Saro, played by Dev Patel. In this, uh, Dev Patel his performance is very different in tone from the child Saro. Now he's not a child anymore. He's an adult one, and during his childhood he had physical struggles, survival, hunger, fear, and all. But as an adult, now he struggles from psychological problems. So Dev Patel plays Saro as someone who seems stable on the outside but internally conflicted. There is a constant sense that something is unresolved within him. In scenes where he starts remembering his childhood, you can see the shift in his expression. It's subtle. His eyes look distant. His conversations become shorter. He seems distracted even when surrounded by people. One powerful moment is during the dinner scene with his girlfriend, where his frustration, guilt starts surfacing. He doesn't explode immediately. Instead, the tension builds slowly. His voice becomes slightly strained, his breathing heavier. It feels real, like someone carrying emotional weight for years. Another important aspect of his performance is how he shows Sarve was killed. Sarah has a loving adoptive family, but he still feels torn. Dev Patel portrays the internal conflict without making the character ungrateful or negative. It feels human, it feels layered. Then we have Nicola Kidman as Sue, the adoptive mother. Her performance is quiet but very strong. She plays a mother who loves unconditionally but also understands emotional pain. In the scene where she explains why she chose to adopt, her delivery is calm, but her eyes show depth and vulnerability. What makes her performance powerful is restraint. She doesn't overdo emotions. She doesn't try to dominate scenes. Instead, she provides emotional grounding to the film. You can see her strength in her softness. Adoptive father's character adds stability to the family dynamic, but he is calm, supportive, and his performance complements Nicole Kidman's energy. Then there is the adoptive brother's character, which is complex. He shows how trauma can affect different children differently. This adds realism because adoption is not portrayed as a perfect solution. It is shown as an emotionally complicated one. Overall, the acting style in Lion is very naturalistic. There are no exaggerated dramatic scenes. Most of the emotions are shown through silence, expressions, and poses. The actors trust subtlety, and I think that's why the movie feels so powerful. It doesn't manipulate the audience with loud performance. It lets the characters breathe. In conclusion, the performances in Lion are the emotional backbone of the film. Sunny Pawar makes us feel fear and innocence. Dev Patel makes us feel internal conflict and longing. Nicole Kidman brings emotional maturity and compassion. Because of this depth in acting, the story feels personal, not just cinematics. With that, I conclude my words. Thank you.
I'm Gayatri and I will tell you about the direction, cinematographic and music. Director used in a slow and impressive storytelling technique. He allows emotional scenes to unfold naturally without rushing them. The cinematographics play an impressive role. The Indian scenes are vibrant, crowded and a warm, reflecting Sur's early life. Australia is shown with the calm, open space symbolizing a stability but also an emotional distance. Close up shots are used effectively to capture emotional. Many scenes rely more on expression than a direction. The background score is stable yet powerful. It enhances emotional intensity without overpowering the visuals. The music supports the narrative instead of dominating it. Overall, the technical elements create a balanced and emotionally engaging cinematic experience. Thank you.
So I'm Dia and I'll be concluding about the movie Lion. So in conclusion, Lion is more than just the story of a lost child. It is a powerful film about identity, belonging, family and hope. The movie highlights important social messages, issues such as child displacement and poverty while presenting adoption in a very realistic and positive light. It also shows how modern technology like Google Earth can help reconnect families from across distances. So, the core message of the film is that no matter how far we go in life, our roots always remain the part of us. Family is not just defined by blood but by love, care, and commitment. The reunion scene feels like deeply emotional because it is a genuine and heartfelt, not exaggerated for drama. Overall, Lion is a moving and inspiring film that combines strong performances, meaningful themes, and emotional storytelling. It leaves the audience reflecting gratitude and the true meaning of home.